or sorry, spoiler free section and then a spoiler section because I still haven't seen Solo.
Oh, so you're gonna leave when we start talking about spoilers?
Yeah. Yep. I tried to.
All
My
right.
schedule just didn't work out.
Fair enough. I went with I'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right. Want to go ahead and jump in?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm ready.
I should have brought my ice cream.
I know. I should have brought mine, man.
Chocolate peanut butter.
That was my nickname in high school.
I believe it.
Last time on Incredible Critics.
So I went into the Apple store because I had washed my AirPods and I was like, yeah, my case, it's not charging my AirPods. You know, I got the Genius. We're hanging out at the Genius bar. But then I noticed he's got a full sleeve and it's half Legend of Zelda and half Kingdom Hearts.
And you're like, oh,
And I was like, bro, is that Kingdom Hearts? And he was like, yes. It's so great. No one ever realizes it. I was like, yeah, you ready for Kingdom Hearts 3? And so we started talking and talking and talking. And about 15 minutes later, you know what? This is covered under the warranty. We're going to replace it for free. You get a brand new case for free. Yes. Being a nerd
Oh, I love
pays
it.
off.
We are the Incredible Critics. Incredible, not because we're great, but much like that Genius at the Apple Store, our credibility should seriously be questioned. I am Ben Franco. This week, we are going to be talking about what we've been watching recently in our What's On section, and then going into Star Wars, Solo, story, Solo thing, Solo, a Star Wars story. But
Fail.
first,
You sound like you haven't even seen the movie, Ben.
it's like I haven't even seen the movie. Joining me this week, Tim Gruber.
What up?
What's going on, Tim? Frankie Part 2 from your bedroom again.
Yeah, part two. Look, Ben, I'd like to thank you for letting me back on the show. Even though I streamed from my bedroom.
It's cool. It's cool. We have very low standards here. And speaking of low standards, also joining us,
Oh.
VIP listener Andrew Moore. We kid because we love.
That's all right. I'm in my bedroom too. I'm not wearing pants. Actually, I'm wearing shorts.
Nah, of course.
Oh.
More than what we can say about Frankie ever.
How's it going, Ben?
Oh, it's going well. Today was a day. Oh my gosh. So it's supposed to be a lovely holiday. Let me just explain what happened. So first we had to go to some stores that were a little bit away. So it's like a 25-minute drive, which Tuna to you, doesn't sound like anything, but Tim, you'll appreciate it more because
Yeah.
when you have kids,
Yep.
and I only have one, a child, anything over 10 minutes is immediately way more work than you ever would have imagined ever before in your life. So we get over there to the stores that we need to go to just to find out that all of their power is down.
Ooh.
And we can't even do what we need to do over there. So then travel all around. Noelle falls asleep, so we end up just driving for a long time. Go to our third Babies R Us of the weekend. Get those sales. And then come home. Before we left, we had noticed some gnarly looking spiders in our basement.
Oh,
So
no.
we put out a bunch of traps and put down peppermint oil because apparently they hate peppermint oil, essential oil.
Those essential oils, though.
Yeah, those essential oils, though. You know what also hates peppermint essential oil? Mice. And
Oh.
come home to find mice droppings all over.
What?
Yeah, all over our first floor of our
Maybe
house.
the spiders were keeping the mice at bay.
Maybe. Now my
Oh.
wife is a lot of things, but she is not the type of woman who does but doesn't mind having mice around. So she's going to town. She's like, I'm gonna catch these things. She's definition of mama bear right now in our kitchen, taking care of everything.
That's
so
epic.
Yeah, so that's like our day, which was supposed to be a really nice, relaxing day, but instead, now now we'll be up all night trying to catch this mouse.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Time to
How was
get
your
home.
guys? How was your guys' long weekend?
It's pretty good. We actually ended up taking a really long trip, which was our first trip in the new car. Not really long. It was like an hour and a half
Okay.
one way. So we hung out with some friends from the college days, and like you said, when it comes to trips with children, sometimes look, our new car does not have a DVD player in it like the old van did.
Ooh.
And the first thing we hear every other time we get in the new car is, I miss the old car. No, you just missed the DVD player. Yeah. Like, ugh. So thankfully, Brittany's mom left her iPad with us, and we were able to have a bunch of shows downloaded on there.
Nice.
So the girls watched on the way up there. They watched DC Superhero Girls High School, Superhero High. So that was fun.
No, God! No, God,
Yeah.
please, no! No!
I know.
No!
Yeah.
No!
And then on the way back, they watched The Santa Claus 2 because it's May.
So I'm thinking you're sitting in the front seat going,
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Look, I'm I'm fine with that movie, but like at Christmas time, you know. So we did that.
Sure.
I was listening to a comic book podcast, so
nice.
no worries.
And Tuna, how was your long weekend?
Well, after I got all of my 0 kids into my car to go to a friend's wedding, it was about an hour drive, so I spent that. This is almost embarrassing. Listening to
To
Incredible
our
Critics.
podcast. Yeah, buddy.
And
Trudging through those episodes that were only Ben and Frankie.
That
That's
is
right.
that is why we call him the VIP listener, Andrew Moore.
not gonna lie, I didn't listen all the way through one of them. 'Cause but it's going to be more embarrassing. Why? Because I have a Star Wars Expanded Universe audiobook that I've been listening to too, and I
Epic.
forgot I had that and was listening to that.
All right, we'll allow it. We'll allow it.
This time.
I mean, you're wearing a Star Wars hat, Tim.
That's true. That's true. I came ready.
More than I could say. I mean, kind of Star Wars.
NASA.
I mean,
You know,
NASA, space
same vein.
related. It's all the same. Well, let's get into it first. Let's talk about what we've been watching. All right, so Tim's been watching Stargate. Let's move on from that.
Boom! You're right. No, I've also been catching up. We're almost caught up with the end of season 5 of Agents of Shield,
Nice.
which has actually
Sure.
been pretty dope. There was some time travel. There's some space. We got a few more episodes left in the season, and I'm way behind on The Flash.
Okay.
You look how I feel hearing that, Ben.
Okay. Yeah. Agents of Shield was a show where I think I first started having my superhero fatigue. I'm like, this show doesn't need to exist.
Sorry, Tim. I'm
Just-
Listen, if you trudge through the first half of that first season, you're good to go.
I was about 3
but-
seasons in, and
I hate trudging through shows.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time to watch stuff. I can't trudge.
yeah. Tuna, what have you been watching?
Well, I've watched a handful of the same movies you guys have been talking about recently: A Quiet Place, Deadpool 2, and most recently Solo. But I also watched the first 2 free episodes that are available on YouTube of Cobra Kai. And I was never really into The Karate Kid growing up. I mean, they're fine movies, but they weren't like one of my favorites. But I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai. It was much better than I expected it to be. It made me care about the characters that I didn't even really care about in the movies, and maybe I don't know what exactly it was about it, but it was oddly charming. So I liked it. I'm not willing to pay $10 to watch the rest of it with the YouTube Red subscription, but pretty good. What I saw.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I think it's already signed on up for a second season, but yeah, who's gonna watch it on YouTube Red? Who's gonna? Nobody's gonna do that. Nobody's gonna do that. We'll watch it once it comes to Netflix.
Wait until I can find some kind of 3-month free trial or something.
Right.
Again.
Yeah, no, that service is. I have no idea what they're doing. It looks somewhat interesting, but yeah.
I guess if you like a lot of YouTube stuff, if you're huge into YouTube and like listening to music on YouTube, it could be beneficial for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally got around to watching Insomnia, Christopher Nolan's
Oh,
follow-up to Memento. Have you seen it, Tuna?
Is it directly related to Memento?
No.
I have not seen it. That's the only Nolan film I haven't seen.
Yeah, you can skip it.
Fair enough.
It's not that it's bad, but it could have been directed by anyone. And
Yeah, it's not special. It's nothing special.
Yeah.
it's a fine movie, but it's nothing crazy. It's on Amazon Prime Video right now if anybody wants to check it out. It's
You can still
you
skip
know,
it though.
but you can still skip it. Yeah. It's a moody, like crime drama with Al Pacino, Robin
Hilary
Williams,
Swank,
and
the
Hilary
Karate
Swank.
Kid.
Yeah, the next, she was
Whatever
the third
she
one,
was.
the third one, whatever.
She was in the third or fourth movie. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Bringing her right back
Look at
around.
her Karate Kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth watching. If you need like a moody crime drama to watch, then check it out. It
Better
fits
than
bill.
the Jaden Smith Karate Kid.
Oh, I moved on from Karate Kid. I'm talking about.
I know.
Insomnia.
You mean the Hilary Swank Karate Kid is a moody crime drama? What?
No, that I would watch. That I would totally watch. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Besides the NBA Western and Eastern Conference Finals, watching that,
Been watching
That's what I do.
Overwatch League finals too. So
yeah, that's
coming up, actually.
that's almost the same thing.
almost the same thing.
That's nearly identical.
Minus
Getting
the
there.
athletes.
Well, let's go ahead and get into it with our review of Star Wars. First, spoiler-free version.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I was kicked out of the flight academy for having a mind of my own. I'm gonna be a pilot. Best in the galaxy.
Hey, kid. I'm putting together a crew. You in?
That's yes.
That is from the trailer to Solo, a Star Wars film. Movie story thing. It is such a bad title. Okay, it's not like
It
Rogue
is.
One because you can't just call it Solo.
Rogue One,
just-
a Star Wars story.
Yeah, but Rogue One, you just called it Rogue One. This one, you don't just want to call it Solo.
I mean, I have just been.
It's weird.
It is a little weird.
It's weird.
You're
All
weird.
right. So first off, well, that's true too. Tuna, what? So I want to start off by reading your Facebook post because I thought it was well said. So Tuna wrote on Facebook, Solo isn't a masterful Star Wars film, nor does it ever boast to be. What it is fun, somewhat nostalgic, but plays it safe. It's flawed, but surprisingly enjoyable. Be more specific. Well, without spoilers, but like
Be
what?
less specific. More deep.
what were your thoughts?
Spoiler free specific. Okay.
Right.
So, in my mind, this is a movie that's set up to fail in every possible way.
Okay.
In my personal opinion, like it's a movie that, as far as everybody I've spoken to, is a movie nobody asked for. Nobody really cared to see, especially knowing Han Solo wasn't going to be Harrison Ford, or vice versa.
Right.
Strike that, reverse it. And there's all this mismanagement that's been happening behind the scenes with all the Star Wars movies. We've had a lot of mismanagement, change of direction, change of casting, and all sorts of stuff. There are rumors that Alden Ehrenreich had needed acting coaching. That was never confirmed, as far as I know. It was just rumors, but there was just so much set to go wrong with this movie, and on top of that, all the backlash from The Last Jedi. My expectations, I tried to keep them tempered. I was trying to keep them from being like just astronomically low. I wanted to be hopeful for it. So if you go in with tempered expectations, I think it's a really enjoyable film, and a really enjoyable Star Wars movie. Like I said in my Facebook post, Alden Ehrenreich, whatever, I'm probably mispronouncing his name drastically.
You can say young Han Solo.
Yeah, young Han. Like he had big shoes to fill. I think he did a pretty adequate job of doing it. I don't think there was ever really going to be a perfect way for another person to play a young Han without trying to. He has to imitate Harrison Ford to some degree,
right?
But to make it his own character and keep within the writing that was handed to them, it's a really tough act to juggle. And I think he did all right. He's charming. He had some good arrogance to him, or rather, he was cocky. He wasn't quite arrogant. And that's something that I don't know if this is really a spoiler, but the one aspect of his character that I think was missing from the movie is Han Solo has always kind of been one to be easily frustrated or impatient with people who aren't up to his speed. And you don't see that as much from him. You see him trying to prove himself more, which is fine. He's young, wants to prove himself, and he is kind of cocky, but he never really acts like he's one step ahead of anybody in the same way Harrison Ford did. Or at least didn't come across as well as Harrison Ford. And maybe he was trying to act greener. Maybe that was all part of it. Overall, I thought he did a pretty good job.
Tim, what were your thoughts on Solo, a movie about Star Wars?
Oh, you're just doing it on purpose now. Yeah, I did enjoy it a lot. I'm there with what Andrew said. It's definitely not perfect. It's the best movie that had the worst behind the scenes problems that I've ever heard of.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't translate to screen as much as other films?
No, definitely not. With this movie, yeah, like Suicide Squad is probably the other movie that has the worst behind the scenes stories.
That's kind of what I expected on first hearing these problems.
That movie, it's very clear with the editing, with the story beats, and with the different dialogue and the different stuff going on in Suicide Squad, that there was clear story problems, and they reshot stuff and they just tried to mash it together and make it a movie. With this movie, the last I heard, it's estimated that 70% of the final movie, to 70 to 80%, is stuff that was reshot. I mean, they basically paid for this movie twice. This is the most expensive Star Wars film.
The figure that I heard around was like 400 to 450 million.
Well, maybe with advertising.
Okay.
I think the production budget was 240.
Okay.
And I think The Last Jedi was like 220. You know what I mean? And so this movie, there really was so many problems. They basically did the whole scheduled shoot of the movie with the original directors and then had to scrap it.
Which is probably why it actually feels fairly cohesive. It feels
because maybe it's so much.
I would argue it feels more cohesive than Rogue One.
Interesting.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
It looks less like it had reshoots than Rogue One did, based on the promotional material anyway.
Definitely. And I think the biggest thing is maybe the first teaser is the one where you're going to find the most footage that's not in the film.
Sure.
Not almost all of it, but
A lot of it.
A lot of it's not in the film, but despite all that, it really was really fun. It really was a fun summer action movie.
I agree.
There even though Alden and Donald Glover were not like spitting image exact replicas of Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams. I think they both did so much better than I expected.
Yeah.
I think they both were perfect in the roles of these guys are not the established characters that we know yet. And here's the reasons why. It's like, I'll say, like, again, without spoiling anything, yeah, there's a certain amount of predictability going into this that you should know. Like Andrew said, temper your expectations. But if you enjoyed the original trilogy, I think you'll enjoy this. I think it's worth it to go see it in the theater. If you enjoyed even anything after that, I think it's worth it.
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's all I was going to say. I think it's worth it to see this one in the theaters if you're any level of Star Wars fan.
Okay, so 2 questions. First, so like Rogue One, does it make the original trilogy better, worse, or just doesn't really influence it? And 2, what Star Wars movie would be above it and below it in its rankings? If you were to rank them, which may be difficult to just say, but where would you kind of place it in the canon of Star Wars films?
You go first, Tim.
I mean, I think it doesn't add specifically to the original trilogy a ton.
Okay.
It kind of just fills in some stuff about Han and Lando in fun ways. But
okay.
it's not like essential to the story of the original trilogy at all. I would say it's not at all essential as far as the main Skywalker movies go.
Okay.
The main saga, but it definitely adds a lot of fun little details.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a lot of there's little callbacks to stuff in the prequels. There's call forwards to stuff in the original. Well, yeah, we'll get there. There's stuff. There's little stuff peppered here and there for call forwards to original trilogy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because time wise, this does take place like I think the very beginning is about 10 years before A New Hope, and maybe the bulk of the movie is like 8 years before. So as far as that goes, I don't know with ranking. I personally, and I really did love Rogue One, but it wasn't my top.
All right, so then just name a Star Wars film that's better than it and a Star Wars film that's worse than it.
Well, I think for me with the new movies, it just beats out Rogue One. As far as the fun factor, as far as the cohesiveness of the movie, getting to know characters and I don't want to go into that. What is it worse than? Maybe Empire Strikes Back because it's so good.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Tuna, your thoughts. Does it make it better, worse, or doesn't affect it? And what's it better than or worse than?
So, for better or worse, I don't think it really influences how you feel about Han or Han's character in the original trilogy at all. I think that's good in that it doesn't negatively impact it.
Okay.
I think if there had been better management if there hadn't been all the production issues from the beginning and Disney wasn't doing the whole trying to get a Star Wars movie every year deal, it could have been an opportunity to give more depth to Han's character. But it doesn't detract from it. It doesn't really add anything to it. Like I said, you don't really get much more about Han or any depth to his character from the movie or his story. But it's a fun little look at the history behind some of the characters, like Tim was saying. I personally think, as far as production quality and acting and writing, it's better than I'd say Yeah, I'd say all three of the prequels. Episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's not too. Now that's not very hard to do.
Right.
I'd say quality wise, it in my eyes, it's about equal with Rogue One. Maybe a little better as far as the way the story comes together. It feels like the pacing feels better to me in this one than Rogue One.
Which is saying something because, as we all know, Rogue One's arguably the best Star Wars film.
It is really good. It is really good. Although I don't know how much of that is just attachment to characters that we already know and love, because Rogue One gives you an entirely new cast, entirely
Sure.
new characters. This one has characters you already love, so you want to like the younger versions of these characters, so there's some
Right.
bias there. I'd say it's there's aspects of it that I like better than The Force Awakens even, but I think Force Awakens is still a better put together film,
Okay.
if that makes
All right.
sense.
That's
I think
fair
there's
enough. Well,
nostalgia better because it has some new stuff while keeping the old in there, kind of like Rogue One.
okay. Well, let's go ahead and kick it over into spoilers, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
So there's a spoiler theme now.
Yeah, so this is the part, yeah, that's the spoiler theme. This is the part where we get to make fun of Ben because he's not going to listen to this exact part until weeks, maybe months from now.
Who's going to edit this thing?
Well, he does edit it without listening to it.
Fair enough.
He edits by the numbers. I don't know if you've ever heard.
Time codes and those
That's
kind
a
of things.
thing.
All right,
That's a
that
thing.
works.
No, I'm just kidding. So that everybody's been alerted to spoilers. Darth Maul, go.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I liked it and hated it at the same time. It's
Right.
ridiculously pointless cameo. So
Yes.
later on in the film, the Han Solo love interest, you find out, like the whole movie's telling you the whole time, she's not exactly who she says she is. You can tell she still has feelings for Han, but she's trapped in something. And that happens to be that her big boss is not the guy who you think it is. It's actually Darth Maul, which is kind of like out of nowhere. I feel
It's
just for
really
shock
out of nowhere.
Yeah. I didn't care for it that much. I mean, it's kind of cool just because I love Darth Maul, but
Yeah, that's one of those with Darth Maul, especially because we know the time. So, just to explain to some people, there's still a lot of people. No, Darth Maul did not die at the end of the Phantom Menace. He was cut in half. The story is he survived barely on his anger and hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he got robot legs, and then he got kind of healed up, got some help from his brother. They kind of became crime lords, and then that all fell apart. And then at some point between that and when he does actually die by the hand of Obi-Wan Kenobi, just a little before A New Hope, he
it's a pretty brief
somehow
encounter too.
becomes another crime lord of another crime syndicate. Somehow, that's what I was not into.
So,
I was like, he did this. That was weird.
Did Ben just say something?
I think he accidentally played a clip almost
Oh.
for a minute. But anyways, yeah, I thought that was kind of, it was cool and it was strange, and then I get text messages from my brother like, Darth Maul isn't dead. What? So
Little confusing, but
yeah, I don't know, but what were your thoughts again? Go.
it feels a little bit like they did it just for the sake of having some kind of cool cameo in the movie.
Yeah,
But I can think of a whole lot of other cameos that would have been more fun and made more sense.
right.
But it doesn't really detract from the movie at all. It's just a silly little cameo.
I think the main times that I was a little put off at the beginning when he's gonna leave the planet and he just chooses on a whim to go in the Imperial Navy, just because it's his ticket off the planet for now.
Sure.
And
He stays in there an awful long time for
3
what we know of Han
years.
Solo. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But again, the biggest thing for me was like, I wanted to see more of that. They said they'd cut a sequence when he did disobey some orders when he was doing pilot stuff, and they cut out the whole sequence, and that'll be on the DVD. So that'll be fun. But my biggest thing was like getting his name.
Yeah, the name felt really like just thrown in there.
I almost thought he should have done that, not like some random guy gave him the name. Then
Yeah.
some random guy gives him a gun. Then it was all this kind of like, that was a little shoehorned, like just a little forced. I enjoyed his meeting with Chewbacca, was a little bit of a surprise. I knew as soon as they threw him in that box or whatever it was, I was like, oh, it's Chewbacca. But it was still fun because to see Chewie all just like so ready to get out of there.
It was
He's
also
just-
funny seeing him communicate in Wookiee to
That
him.
was pretty funny. In poor Wookiee. That was actually phenomenal. I thought it
liked
would have been
that.
better if it was even more poorly translated, but
Yeah.
that was funny.
I thought Alden, for the most part, got the mannerisms down pretty well. His smile and facial expressions were pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of dialogue in the movie, and this isn't, I don't think, really on Alden, but some of the writing for some of his dialogue felt a little weird, like not necessarily something Han Solo would say or do.
Right.
But for the most part, they get it pretty.
And I enjoyed that he did a little bit of his own thing and that he did certain things that Han Solo does. I think part of it is that like we have these years and years of who Han Solo should be built up in our minds, and the reality is no, that's who Han Solo was when we first met him, and that's who Han Solo became after that.
Yeah.
And all the time before that, it's like I expected this movie to get Han Solo from his early days to like A New Hope. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. But this
he's
is
a
really
lot
just
younger.
Yeah, this is really just the very, very, very beginning of him becoming a smuggler. Even
I expected the movie to be like a couple years before like A New Hope, but
yeah, not like
after
10
watching
or
it, you see
whatever.
he's maybe like 20 something. Like
Yeah, I
early
think at the
20s.
beginning he's supposed to be maybe in his teens,
Yeah, that's what
late
I wagered.
teens.
Mhm.
She looked younger than he did for sure. I sorry, go for it.
I was just gonna say it also helped me with a little bit of suspension of disbelief with how much he doesn't really look all that much like
How
Harrison
different he
Ford.
was. Yeah.
and his voice, like it helps a little bit in knowing that.
The other thing too with this, I'm really glad that they didn't keep shoehorning more and more and more stuff in. They weren't like, here's how Han Solo gets his Corellian bloodstripe pants. Here's how Han Solo gets his vest. Here's, it wasn't like this ongoing thing
Show
of
the
like,
pistol.
what's
they
going to
show the
happen?
Kessel Run stuff.
Yeah.
And that's more or less.
And kind of showed how he got the Falcon.
Yeah.
Which
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed
that they faked us out.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Oh, speaking of fake outs, that twist.
Yeah.
I honestly, with as low as my expectations were, I didn't expect that little switcheroo there.
All the kind of switcheroos at the end. There was stuff I was like, oh, man, for one, I didn't think he'd shoot what's his name?
Yeah.
I was bummed. I wanted more of I honestly wanted more Woody Harrelson. Like I wanted if they ever did another one to be like, this is how Woody Harrelson lets him be the captain but helps him learn more or something.
At the
and
same
then
time, though,
dies.
I'm kind of glad that he didn't like pick up his mannerisms and personality from Woody Harrelson. I was worried that it was going to be like, oh, Harrison Ford's like the way he is and gets all his mannerisms because of this mentor figure.
Yeah.
And
it's
didn't.
yeah, and the stuff with just all the different twists. Kira, I kind of knew she was working too much behind the scenes. I didn't think she was so sold on everything. Like at the end, I didn't think she was going to straight up leave. I thought she was just going to like blow it up for some reason or do some weird thing.
Yeah.
It was obvious she was leading him to get off the ship, but I didn't know what she was going to do. There was a lot of that, Darth Maul, the whole switcheroo back and forth of like, no, we really do have the hyperspace fuel. His buddy, definitely his buddy straight up leaving. It didn't make sense for him to just straight up leave, the mentor, because he went through the whole thing and lost the wife and really did want to retire. Trying to think of what else.
I'm also glad that the movie didn't try too hard to be funny. There were some moments of good humor. It was actually less funny than the last few Star Wars movies have been.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that's, I think, it in some parts to their detriment. You know, like
really, I thought it was refreshing to not have a full lineup of quips and stuff.
No, so no. So I'll say it was great. I think Solo had the right amount of humor.
Okay.
I think it's to the detriment of like The Last Jedi in certain parts where it's overly silly and not silly like C-3PO getting his head put on a different body. But silly and like they're really trying to be funny.
It's trying too much to put it like stuff too much quips and humor. Yeah.
Like, I think they should have left Poe Dameron's fun line at the beginning of Force Awakens and not kept on with, let's see what kind of joke Poe Dameron can tell this time.
Yeah.
But no. Solo, I think there was the right amount of humor. It was funny. The theater I saw it in, people were laughing at the parts they were supposed to laugh in, which was good. I mean, honestly, at the end of the movie, there was people in my theater cheering and clapping, and it wasn't super full. How was the theater that you saw it in? What was the general level?
Pretty mild. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like everybody in the room hated it, but there wasn't like cheering or anything. There wasn't there was some laughs here and there. But not definitely didn't have the same boisterousness as I've seen in the other Star Wars films I've seen.
Right.
Yeah. But it was pretty crowded, the one that I went to. It had premium seating, so like maybe those get filled up pretty fast. I don't know.
Yeah. But I will say, for the most people that I've talked to, for the most part, the consensus is that it's good. I don't know anybody that's hated this. Like, I don't know anybody that straight up hated it.
Yeah, same.
I know people who are really diehard Star Wars fans that have hated some of the last few movies.
Last Jedi.
But nobody that I know has really hated this. They've just been like, it's good, or it's great, or they liked it, a good amount. Nobody.
It's a likable movie for the most
overall likability is high, which is probably good after some of the fallout from The Last Jedi in the fandom.
The fact that it's not making that much money in the box office, though, I think is a good thing, because Disney really needs to get this mismanagement together, or it's going to keep causing problems. I mean, there was mismanagement with The Last Jedi, Rogue One, Solo. Like, they got to get this stuff together.
And they kicked out or not for Episode 9, Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, JJ's doing that now.
And now JJ's at it again. So I think going forward, though, it has me. I'm excited to see what Star Wars does, because now we know they can make a movie that's just fun adventure. That's not the Force. They can make a movie in this part of the universe. They can make a movie in that part of the universe. Maybe they shouldn't make as many movies, like you're saying, one a year. But
Absolutely.
that is. But yeah, that's our spoiler filled section that gives us a new hope.
Again.
Perhaps.
Oh.
You like
sounds kind of like Frankie. Like you don't really hate him.
Look,
You kind of like him, but like, yeah.
Frankie,
no.
shout out to Frankie and Carry On Chuck, who I went to see the movie with. I didn't see the movie with Frankie. I was just giving a shout out to Joe.
Nice.
Always. Well, that was our thoughts, or really their thoughts, on a solo film about the Star Wars.
Oh my gosh.
Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher or Google Play, whatever you use. Also, check us out and like us on Facebook, facebook.com/IncredibleCritics, twitter.com/3CriticsPod. Also, go on YouTube and search for Incredible Critics and subscribe to our page. Until next week, we are the Incredible Critics.
This is the part where I say something really stupid that Ben can include at the... Oh. All right, or not. Got
I
interrupted.
did it. Bam, 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 bam. So Ben, you started playing something in the middle of our spoiler review.
Yeah, what was that about?
I did?
For like a split second, there was a voice that came through. The Incredible Critics. The
Oh,
audio.
I was on Chrome. It must have just been something that auto played.
It was almost bad.
I was hoping it was going to be a Rick roll.
I should do that sometime. That'd be amazing.
Sometime
I
while
thought you heard
Frankie
us
is on.
making fun of you, so
Oh, that's
That totally
that's
didn't
fair.
happen.
which didn't happen.
I listened one time. I forget the other movie. Oh, it was Infinity War, and I had asked going into the
Was
spoiler
that
free
like
section.
Black Panther, maybe?
No, I said going into Infinity War, I was like, is it just a part one? And Frankie was all like, oh, we can't really say. So then I listened right after the spoiler part because I expected you guys to be making fun of me, and he's just like, it's totally a part one.
You're like, oh.
Aw,
Man,
you
I
were
really loved that movie. Infinity War was so much fun.
I would really,
Ben
really
still hasn't
love to
seen
go
it
see
because
it.
He's a total. I can't say because we're broadcasting.
Oh,
Tim, how many movies did you see when you had a 9-month-old? And actually, you had 9 months old.
Actually, when the twins were 5 months old, we went to see Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and we took them to the theater.
oh,
You
you're
took
one of
them
those
to the
people.
So deal with that.
Yeah.
And I missed part of the end of the movie.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. Oops.
That's hilarious. All right, guys. I gotta go kill a mouse.
I
Have fun.
gotta
You ever
go.
seen that movie Mouse Hunt?
gotta kill the
Womp
mouse
womp.
that is called
Stargate.
working out.
I'm gonna go play some competitive
The gym.
Overwatch
Sick.
with my friends.
I gotta go Fortnite.
They were messaging me during the podcast.
I feel like that was like the progression of my life, right? Gotta go play some competitive Overwatch, then gotta go work out, and now gotta go kill that mouse.
I'm working out
Good.
tomorrow morning in my defense.
That's like the last like 2 decades of my life summed up
Oh,
in 3 individual
But Ben,
sentences.
can't you not wait until Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out?
Did they release an announcement?
not yet.
Release it yet? Okay. Is that later this
They
week?
will at E3 at least. I
Is
don't,
it
I don't know.
E3 this week? Next week?
Is it this? Is it the end of this week or the?
Tuna, when's E3?
July?
I thought
Is it?
E3
I thought it
was June.
E3.
Yeah, June
is-
12th. So it's in a.
Okay.
it's in-
Wow. Oh, wow. I am
Okay.
totally wrong. Holy cow, that's fast.
But Kingdom Hearts 3 is playable at E3. Boom. Yeah, they're
Okay.
definitely announcing the date by
Oh
then.
yeah.
Not before then.
What if they just pulled a Beyonce and just dropped it?
Oh,
Pulled
be
a-
so pumped. Be like,
pulled a-
it's out now. It's out today.
Pulled a Queen Bee.
Or Clover.
I'm going on
Cloverfield
vacation.
Lane.
Wait, I'm going on vacation then.
Or the Cloverfield Paradox. Hey, this will be playable after E3.
Yeah, right. And it's
On
not as good
Netflix.
as you hoped.
Oh.
Oh, that would be horrible.